My name is Ryan. I am 28 years old, and I never thought my own parents would betray me like this. As a software engineer who finally built a successful life for myself, I was always in my sister's shadow growing up. When I discovered a $15,000 charge on my credit card for a European vacation I never booked, I was shocked. But nothing prepared me for learning my own parents had stolen my card information to fund my golden child sister's dream trip. If you are watching this, let me know where you are viewing from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. This story will show you how standing up for yourself can change family dynamics forever. I grew up in a modest suburban neighborhood in Lexington, Massachusetts, where our family lived in a 3-bedroom colonial that my parents were so proud to have purchased when I was just 5 years old. My sister Amanda came along when I was 3, and from the very beginning it was clear she held a special place in my parents' hearts that I could never quite reach. Our family photo albums tell the story better than I can. While there are dozens of solo pictures of Amanda's first steps, first smile, and first day of preschool, my baby photos are sparse. My mom Diana always had an explanation. "We were just busier when you were little, Ryan," she would say. But as the years went on, the pattern became impossible to ignore. School achievements highlighted the disparity in the clearest way. When I brought home an A- in advanced math, my father Thomas would frown and ask why it was not an A+. The Jefferson boy got a perfect score, didn't he? He would question always knowing about someone who had done better. But when Amanda brought home a B+ in regular math, there would be celebrations and her paper would go straight to the refrigerator. Amanda tried her best, and that is what matters, my mother would say, rubbing my sister's shoulders while shooting me a look that dared me to comment. The unequal treatment extended to everything. When I needed new clothes, my mother would reluctantly take me shopping at discount stores, constantly reminding me to look at price tags. When Amanda needed a new wardrobe, my parents would take her to the mall and return with bags from all the brand-name stores. "Your sister is a growing girl. She needs more clothes," my father would explain when I pointed out the unfairness. My 10th grade science fair project won first place at the regional competition, earning me a spot at the state level. Neither of my parents attended the regional event, claiming they had to work. The state competition fell on the same day as Amanda's middle school choir concert. Guess which event my parents attended? I stood alone accepting my second-place medal at the state science fair, while both my parents sat in the audience of Amanda's concert, where she sang in the back row of a 30-person choir. Despite the clear favoritism, I never stopped trying to earn their approval. I joined every academic club, maintained a 4.0 GPA, and even made varsity track team, setting a school record for the 400-meter dash. My trophy gathered dust on my bedroom shelf, while Amanda's participation ribbons from her brief stint in gymnastics were displayed prominently in the living room. When college application time came, I received acceptance letters from several prestigious universities, including MIT. My parents' response: "Those schools are too expensive. The state university is perfectly fine." Meanwhile, they started a college fund for Amanda, who was still 2 years away from applying. "Your sister will probably want to attend an Ivy League school," my father said. "We need to be prepared." I moved out at 18, attending Boston University on a partial scholarship and working 2 part-time jobs to cover the rest. While my classmates enjoyed the college experience, I juggled classes with shifts at the campus coffee shop and weekend work at a local tech startup. The startup job turned into an internship, which eventually led to my career in software engineering. During college and my early career, I limited contact with my family. Holiday visits were tense affairs, with my parents barely asking about my life before turning the conversation to Amanda's latest achievements, which seemed to grow more exaggerated with each passing year. "Amanda made the dean's list this semester," my mother would announce, conveniently omitting that my sister had dropped half her classes mid-semester to achieve this feat. After graduating, I secured a position at a promising tech company and quickly rose through the ranks. By 26, I was leading a development team and earning a 6-figure salary. My financial independence gave me the confidence to try rebuilding my relationship with my parents. I thought perhaps now that I had proven myself, they might finally see my worth. Amanda, meanwhile, had bounced between 5 different majors before graduating with a general studies degree. She moved back home at 23, claiming she needed time to find herself. 2 years later, she was still living with our parents, working part-time at a local boutique and quitting whenever the job became too stressful. My parents never pushed her to be more independent. Instead, they subsidized her lifestyle, paying for her car insurance, phone, and even her frequent shopping sprees. Despite my success, family gatherings continued to revolve around Amanda. If I mentioned a promotion, my parents would nod politely before asking Amanda about her latest hobby or friend drama. I tried not to let it bother me, telling myself that at least I had built a life on my own terms. I had a nice apartment in Cambridge, a growing investment portfolio, and friends who valued me for who I was. Still, that childhood wound of parental favoritism never fully healed. Last year, I started seeing a therapist to work through my family issues. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that the dynamic was not my fault and encouraged me to set healthier boundaries with my family. You cannot change them, she would tell me, but you can change how you respond to them. I was making progress, learning to validate myself rather than seeking approval I would never receive. Little did I know that this newfound strength would soon be tested in a way I never imagined. Last November, I drove to my parents' house for Thanksgiving dinner, bringing an expensive bottle of wine and a homemade apple pie from a recipe I had perfected over several attempts. The familiar knot in my stomach tightened as I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home, but I took a deep breath and reminded myself of Dr. Martinez's advice. Set realistic expectations. You are visiting out of choice, not obligation. You can leave whenever you need to. The first hour went surprisingly well. My mother complimented the wine, my father asked about my job, and Amanda was busy in the kitchen helping prepare the meal. Maybe this time would be different, I thought, hopefully. Maybe we could finally have a normal family holiday. As we sat down for dinner, Amanda cleared her throat dramatically. I have an announcement, she said, her eyes shining with excitement. I have decided what I want to do next year. My parents leaned forward eagerly, their attention completely captured. I noticed how my father's face lit up with anticipation, an expression I had rarely seen directed at me. I want to go on a European tour, Amanda declared. 3 months visiting all the major cities: London, Paris, Rome, Barcelona, Vienna, Prague, Amsterdam, Berlin. I have been researching and I found this amazing custom tour package that includes everything. My mother clapped her hands together. Oh, sweetheart, that sounds wonderful. What a cultural experience that would be for you. I noticed a brief look of concern flash across my father's face. That sounds expensive, princess. How much are we talking about? Around $15,000, Amanda replied casually, as if discussing the price of a new pair of shoes. But it includes everything: flights, hotels, some meals, guided tours, transportation between cities. It is practically a bargain when you think about it. My parents exchanged a look I could not quite decipher. There was worry there, but also determination. My father nodded slightly, and my mother reached for Amanda's hand. We will figure something out, my mother promised. You deserve to explore the world. I could not help but think about how I had saved for 3 years to afford a 2-week trip to Japan after college graduation. When I had mentioned my plans during a family dinner, my father had lectured me about fiscal responsibility and the importance of investing in my future rather than wasting money on vacations. Pushing aside the bitter memory, I decided to share my own good news. I actually just got promoted to Senior Development Manager, I said. It came with a nice bonus and stock options. That is nice, dear, my mother replied, her attention already drifting back to Amanda. Now, Amanda, tell us more about this tour. Which city are you most excited about? And just like that, the conversation returned to its natural state, all about Amanda. I sat quietly finishing my meal as my sister detailed her travel plans with increasingly elaborate descriptions. My father asked thoughtful questions about the itinerary, while my mother suggested shopping destinations in each city. I left earlier than planned, claiming I had work the next day. No one seemed particularly disappointed to see me go. My mother gave me a distracted hug, my father a firm handshake, and Amanda waved from the dining room, already back to discussing her European dreams. The following weeks were busy at work as we prepared for a major product launch. I worked long hours, often grabbing dinner at my desk and falling into bed exhausted. It was during this hectic period about 3 weeks after Thanksgiving that I finally sat down on a Sunday evening to pay my bills and check my accounts. As I scrolled through my credit card transactions, my heart nearly stopped. There it was, a charge for $15,240 from Global Expeditions Travel. I had never heard of this company, let alone authorized such an enormous charge. My first thought was that my card had been stolen. With shaking hands, I called the credit card company's 24-hour fraud line. After confirming my identity, the representative pulled up the transaction details. This charge was processed on November 27th, she explained. It appears to have been made over the phone, and the cardholder provided the card number, expiration date, security code, and the billing address. Is there any chance you, or an authorized user, made this purchase? Absolutely not, I replied firmly. I never use this card for travel bookings, and I certainly did not authorize a $15,000 charge to any travel agency. The representative took down the details of my dispute and suggested I contact the merchant directly to learn more about the transaction while they began their investigation. First thing Monday morning, I called Global Expeditions Travel. After navigating an automated system, I reached a cheerful travel agent named Brianna. I need information about a charge from your company on my credit card, I explained, providing the transaction details. Let me look that up for you, Brianna said. After a few moments of keyboard clicking, she continued, Yes, I see the booking. This was for the custom European Grand Tour package for Amanda Wilson departing in May next year. 3 months, 8 countries. It is one of our premium offerings. My blood ran cold. Amanda Wilson. That is my sister. I did not authorize this booking. Oh, Brianna sounded confused. The booking was made by Thomas and Diana Wilson. They provided all the payment information and said they were booking on behalf of their daughter. Thomas and Diana Wilson. My parents. My own parents had somehow obtained my credit card information and used it to book Amanda's dream European vacation. Without my knowledge, without my permission. Can you tell me exactly when this booking was made? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. It was the Friday after Thanksgiving, Brianna replied. The clients called in the morning and spent about an hour finalizing all the details with our senior travel consultant. The Friday after Thanksgiving, the day after I had visited their house. Somehow during that visit, my parents had gotten access to my credit card information. My mind raced back, trying to recall every moment. Had I left my wallet unattended? Had they gone through my things? Is there a cancellation policy? I asked. I am afraid this package has a non-refundable deposit of $5,000, Brianna explained. The remaining balance could be refunded if canceled more than 60 days before departure. I thanked her for the information and ended the call, my mind spinning with disbelief and betrayal. How could they do this to me? What gave them the right to steal my card information and charge thousands of dollars without my consent? I sat at my kitchen table staring at my phone, trying to process what had happened. This was not just favoritism anymore. This was theft. This was fraud. This was a complete violation of trust and boundaries that I could never have imagined even my parents were capable of. With a deep breath, I dialed my parents' number, my hand shaking with a mixture of rage and hurt that felt like it might consume me whole. The phone rang 4 times before my mother answered, her voice cheerful. Ryan, what a nice surprise. We do not usually hear from you on a Monday morning. Mom, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. I need to talk to you and Dad about something important. Is he there? There was a slight pause. Yes, he is here. Is everything all right? You sound upset. Put the phone on speaker, I requested. I need to talk to both of you. I heard shuffling then, my father's voice. Ryan, what is going on? Taking a deep breath, I asked, Did you use my credit card to book a $15,000 European trip for Amanda? The silence that followed was deafening. I could practically feel the tension through the phone. Well, my father finally said, his tone defensive. We were going to tell you about that. We just borrowed your card information for the booking. We are planning to pay you back, of course. Borrowed, I repeated incredulously. You stole my credit card information and charged $15,000 without my knowledge or consent. That is not borrowing, Dad. That is theft and fraud. Do not be so dramatic, Ryan, my mother interjected. We are family. Amanda really needed this trip. She has been so stressed lately, and this European tour will be life-changing for her. We were going to work out the payment details with you later. Later, I could feel my blood pressure rising. When exactly were you planning to tell me that you charged $15,000 to my card? When the bill came? When I noticed it myself? Or maybe when Amanda was already in Europe? We knew you would react like this, my father said dismissively. That is why we were waiting for the right time to discuss it. Look, we will pay you back eventually. Your sister really wants this trip, and we promised we would make it happen. How did you even get my credit card information? I demanded. Another pause. Then my mother spoke, her voice small. When you were in the bathroom during Thanksgiving, your wallet was on the counter by the door. Your father just took a quick photo of your card. We knew you would not miss the money with your big salary and all those bonuses you mentioned. I felt sick. They had deliberately gone through my wallet while I was in their home as a guest. They had planned this waiting for an opportunity to steal my financial information. You need to cancel this booking immediately, I said firmly. Today, and have the full amount refunded to my card. We cannot do that, Ryan, my father replied, his voice hardening. The deposit is non-refundable, and Amanda has already told all her friends about the trip. She would be devastated if we canceled now. That is not my problem, I insisted. You made this decision without my consent. You committed fraud. I want the charge reversed immediately, or I will report it to my credit card company as fraud, which is exactly what it is. You would do that to your own family, my mother gasped. After everything we have done for you. I almost laughed at the absurdity of her statement. What exactly have you done for me, Mom? I put myself through college. I built my career without any help from either of you. And now you steal my credit card information and expect me to just accept it. I heard muffled voices. Then Amanda's voice came through the speaker. Ryan, why are you being so selfish? This trip is really important to me. It is not like you cannot afford it. You make so much money, and what do you even spend it on? Your empty apartment, your boring life. The familiar pain of being the outsider in my own family washed over me, but this time it was accompanied by something new: clarity. This was not just about money. This was about a lifetime of being treated as less than, of having my boundaries violated, of being expected to sacrifice for a sister who had never been asked to give anything in return. I am giving you 24 hours to contact the travel agency and cancel this booking, I said calmly. If the charge is not reversed by this time tomorrow, I will report it as fraud to my credit card company and let them handle it. You would send your own parents to jail over this, my father demanded. I would hold my parents accountable for stealing $15,000 from me, I corrected. The choice is yours. You have always been jealous of your sister, my mother said, her voice trembling with anger, always trying to ruin things for her. I thought you had outgrown that childish behavior, but I guess I was wrong. 24 hours, I repeated, then ended the call. Within minutes, my phone began buzzing with text messages. My Aunt Caroline. How could you do this to your sister? My Uncle Brian. Your parents are devastated. Call them back and apologize. My cousin Patrick. Dude, just let your sister have her trip. Why be a jerk about it? Apparently my parents had immediately started spreading their version of events to the extended family, painting me as the villain who was trying to ruin Amanda's dream trip out of spite. According to the narrative they were sharing, I had somehow promised to help pay for the trip and was now backing out. I turned off my phone, unable to deal with the barrage of accusations. My chest felt tight, and I struggled to breathe normally. I had never stood up to my family like this before, and the backlash was immediate and overwhelming. That night I barely slept. Part of me wanted to give in, to just accept the charge and avoid the conflict. It would be easier in the short term, but another part of me, the part that had been working with Dr. Martinez on setting healthy boundaries, knew that if I backed down now, nothing would ever change. This would just be the first of many financial violations. By morning, my phone had dozens of missed calls and unread messages. None of them were apologies or notifications of a canceled booking. As the 24-hour deadline approached, I realized my parents had called my bluff, confident that family loyalty would prevent me from taking real action. They did not know the man I had become. As the 24-hour deadline passed with no resolution, I sat at my kitchen table with my phone and laptop open before me. My hands were steady, but my heart raced as I dialed the number for my credit card company again. This time I asked to be connected directly to the fraud department. "I need to report a fraudulent charge on my account," I told the representative, a woman named Melissa who spoke with quiet efficiency. "I can help you with that," she assured me. "Can you identify the specific transaction?" I provided the details of the $15,000 charge, then took a deep breath. I know who made the unauthorized charge. It was my parents. They took a photo of my credit card during a family visit and used the information to book a vacation for my sister without my knowledge or consent. There was a brief pause on the line. When Melissa spoke again, her voice was gentler, as if she understood the emotional weight of what I was doing. "I see. That must be a difficult situation. Can you walk me through how you discovered the fraud and any conversations you have had about it?" For the next 20 minutes, I detailed everything: finding the charge, contacting the travel agency, confronting my parents, and giving them the opportunity to make it right. Melissa took detailed notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. "Thank you for being so thorough," she said when I finished. "I am going to file this as a family fraud case. Unfortunately, these are more common than people realize. We will begin our investigation immediately and temporarily remove the charge from your account while we work on this." "What happens next?" I asked. "We will contact the merchant and your parents as part of our investigation," Melissa explained. "This may take up to 30 days to resolve fully. Given that you have identified the perpetrators and they have essentially admitted to using your card without authorization, I expect the permanent reversal will be approved. You should know that in cases like this, the card issuer may choose to pursue recovery from the individuals who committed the fraud." "You mean my parents could face legal consequences?" I asked, my stomach tightening. "That is a possibility," she confirmed. "When fraud exceeds $10,000, it often crosses into territory where our legal team becomes involved. I cannot predict exactly what will happen, but you should be prepared for that possibility." After completing the fraud report, I felt a strange mixture of relief and dread. The weight of the financial burden had been lifted, but I knew the family fallout was just beginning. As if on cue, my phone began ringing. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call, but she immediately called back. After the fourth attempt, I reluctantly answered. "How could you?" she sobbed into the phone. "I just got a call from the travel agency saying my trip is canceled due to a fraud investigation. Do you know how embarrassing that is? I already told everyone about this trip. I already planned my whole year around it." "Amanda," I said quietly, "did you know they used my credit card without my permission?" "They said you would not mind," she cried. "They said they would work it out with you. Why are you being so mean about this? It is just money to you." "It is not just about the money," I tried to explain. "It is about respect and boundaries. They stole from me, Amanda. They committed fraud." "It is not stealing when it is family," she insisted. "You are just being selfish and petty, trying to punish me because you have always been jealous of me. Mom is crying her eyes out right now. Dad says you have broken her heart. Is that what you wanted?" Before I could respond, another call came through my mother. I told Amanda I had to go and switch to the incoming call. "Ryan Wilson," my mother began, her voice quavering dramatically. "I did not raise you to treat your family this way. Do you know what you have done? The travel agency called us. They said there is a fraud investigation. They said we could be in serious trouble. I gave you a chance to make it right," I reminded her. "You chose not to take it. We are your parents. We have given you everything, and this is how you repay us, by trying to get us arrested over a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding," I repeated. "You took a photo of my credit card without my knowledge. You charged $15,000 without my permission. When I confronted you, you refused to make it right. That is not a misunderstanding, Mom. That is a deliberate violation." "Your father wants to speak to you," she said coldly. My father's voice came through low and threatening. "You listen to me, son. You need to call that credit card company right now and tell them this was all a mistake. Tell them you approved the charge. If you do not fix this immediately, you are going to destroy this family." "I did not destroy this family," I replied, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. "You and Mom did that when you decided that stealing from me was acceptable. When you decided that Amanda's desires were more important than my basic right not to be defrauded by my own parents. You ungrateful little—" He did not finish the sentence, but I could hear him breathing heavily. "This is not over. You have no idea what you have started." After he hung up, the calls and texts from extended family members intensified. Most took my parents' side, berating me for being selfish and dramatic. A few seemed uncertain, asking for my side of the story, but clearly skeptical that my parents could have done something so wrong. Only one relative reached out with genuine support, my cousin Ethan, who had himself distanced from the family years ago for reasons he had never fully explained. "Hey Ryan," his text read, "heard about what happened. Unlike everyone else, I believe you. My dad did something similar to me years ago. If you need someone to talk to who gets it, I am here." That simple message of support meant more than I could express. I called Ethan immediately, and we talked for over an hour. He understood the dysfunctional family dynamics, the golden child syndrome, the expectation that I should sacrifice for Amanda without question. For the first time, I did not feel completely alone in this. That evening, I called my best friend Marcus and explained everything. Marcus had witnessed some of my family's behavior over the years and had often questioned why I maintained contact with them. "I know this is hard," he said after listening to the full story, "but I am proud of you for standing up for yourself. They crossed a major line, and you had every right to report it. Do not let them manipulate you into thinking otherwise." The stress of the situation began affecting my work. I found myself unable to focus during meetings, checking my phone constantly for updates from the credit card company or more angry messages from family members. After making a significant error in some code that took the team hours to identify, I decided to take an emergency mental health day. During that day off, I researched family estrangement and financial abuse. The stories I read from others who had experienced similar violations from family members helped me realize that what my parents had done was not normal or acceptable, regardless of how they tried to frame it. I also made an emergency appointment with Dr. Martinez, who helped me process the complex emotions I was experiencing. "What you are feeling is grief," she explained during our session. "You are grieving the parents you deserved but never had. You are grieving the family relationship you hoped might eventually develop. That grief is real and valid." A week after filing the fraud report, I received confirmation from my credit card company that the investigation was proceeding and the charge had been permanently removed from my account. They also issued me a new card with a new number as a security measure. I felt a small sense of victory, but I knew the war was far from over. 2 weeks after I reported the fraud, the credit card company completed their initial investigation. They not only reversed the charges permanently, but also informed me that they had decided to pursue the case further. My parents would be receiving official notification from the card issuer's legal department regarding the fraudulent use of my card. I learned this from a follow-up call with Melissa at the fraud department. "I wanted to let you know personally," she said. "In cases involving family members, these situations can become complicated. The notification will explain that they unlawfully obtained and used your credit card information for a significant purchase without authorization. It will outline potential consequences, which could include financial penalties and, in severe cases, criminal charges." "Are they likely to face criminal charges?" I asked, conflicted about the escalation despite everything they had done. "It depends on several factors," Melissa explained. "If they cooperate, fully make restitution for any fees incurred, and there is no pattern of similar behavior, the company might choose not to pursue criminal charges. However, I should be transparent that fraud of this magnitude is taken very seriously." After the call, I received a text message from my Aunt Regina, my mother's oldest sister. "The family is gathering at your parents' house this Saturday to discuss the situation with you. Be there at 2 p.m. It is time you heard how your actions are affecting everyone." I responded simply, "I will not be attending. This is between me, my parents, and the credit card company now. Please respect my decision." The response was immediate. "Your absence will only confirm what everyone already thinks about you. If you cared about this family at all, you would come and face what you have done. I turned off my phone for the rest of the day, unable to deal with the continued manipulation and guilt tactics. When I turned it back on the next morning, I had a voicemail from an unknown number. It was Amanda. "Ryan, it is me. I am outside your apartment. Open the door. We need to talk right now." I checked through my peephole, and sure enough, Amanda was standing in the hallway, arms crossed, foot tapping impatiently. Against my better judgment, I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "What are you doing here, Amanda? How did you even know where I live?" "Mom and Dad gave me your address," she said, pushing past me into my apartment before I could stop her. "We need to talk about what you are doing to our family." "I am not doing anything to our family," I replied, closing the door. "Mom and Dad committed fraud. They are facing the consequences of their actions." Amanda spun around, her eyes red from crying, but her expression fierce. "Do you have any idea what is happening? Dad got a letter from the credit card company. They are threatening legal action. Mom can barely get out of bed from the stress. And it is all because you cannot let me have one good thing." "This is not about you having one good thing," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "This is about our parents stealing my financial information and charging $15,000 without my consent. Would you be okay with someone doing that to you?" "They are our parents," she shouted. "They have given us everything. And now you are trying to get them arrested because you are jealous that they wanted to do something special for me." I took a deep breath. "Amanda, there is something you need to understand. What they did was illegal. It was wrong. No amount of family loyalty changes that fact." She paced my living room, running her hands through her hair in frustration. "You do not get it. They are in serious financial trouble now because of you." "Because of me," I repeated. "How exactly is their financial trouble my fault?" "Because," she hesitated, then seemed to deflate slightly, "because they already spent so much on me. They remortgaged the house last year to pay off my credit cards and car loan. They took out a second mortgage 3 months ago because I needed to pay back some friends who loaned me money. They do not have any more credit available. Your card was their last option for my trip." I stared at her, stunned by this revelation. "So they are in financial trouble because they keep bailing you out, and their solution was to steal from me." "They were desperate," she defended, "and they knew you could afford it. You are the one with the fancy job and all the money. Would it really have hurt you to help your sister just this once?" "If they had asked me for help, that would have been different," I pointed out. "But they did not ask. They stole my card information and committed fraud. And from what you are telling me, this is part of a pattern of financial irresponsibility that has been going on for years." "This is all your fault," Amanda insisted, tears streaming down her face. "If you had just let this go, everyone would be happy. Now the whole family is being torn apart, and Mom and Dad might go to jail, and it is all because you are too selfish to help your own sister." "I think you should leave," I said quietly. "This conversation is not productive." "Fine," she spat, heading for the door. "But know this, if anything happens to Mom and Dad because of this, I will never forgive you. Never. And neither will anyone else in the family." After Amanda left, I sat down at my computer, still processing the information about my parents' financial situation. An email notification popped up, a message from my father. The subject line read, "What you have done to this family." Against my better judgment, I opened it. The message was brief. "Your mother can barely function because of what you have done. I hope you are satisfied with yourself. We only wanted to give your sister the opportunity you always had. We sacrificed everything for you growing up, and this is how you repay us." Attached to the email was a document, a scanned image of my credit card front and back, with my father's handwriting visible on the margins, noting the card number, expiration date, and security code. I stared at the image in disbelief. My father had just sent me digital evidence of the credit card theft. Without hesitation, I forwarded the email to Melissa at the fraud department, adding a brief note. "I received this email from my father today. As you can see, it contains evidence of how they obtained my credit card information." Her response came within hours. "Thank you for forwarding this. This will be added to our case file. Based on this new evidence, our legal team will likely proceed with a more formal investigation. Please continue to forward any relevant communications. 2 days later, my parents received an official warning letter from the credit card company's legal department detailing the evidence against them and outlining potential consequences. I knew this because my phone exploded with messages from relatives all blaming me for escalating the situation. "Your mother had to go to the emergency room with chest pains after getting that letter," my Aunt Regina texted. "Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted?" The use of my mother's health as a manipulation tactic was not surprising, but it was still painful. I remembered how any time I had stood up to my parents in the past, my mother would develop mysterious ailments that would immediately be attributed to my difficult behavior. What was surprising was receiving a call from my Aunt Meredith, my mother's younger sister, with whom I had always had a distant but cordial relationship. "Ryan, it is Aunt Meredith. Do you have a few minutes to talk? If you are calling to tell me what a terrible son I am, I have already heard it from pretty much everyone else," I said wearily. "Actually, I am calling to tell you that I believe you," she said quietly, "and that I understand why you did what you did." I was so shocked I could not immediately respond. "The favoritism between you and Amanda. It is not new," she continued. "My mother did the same thing with Diana and me. Diana was always the golden child, always got everything she wanted while I was expected to make sacrifices. When I see how they treat you compared to Amanda, it is like watching history repeat itself." "He had no idea," I said. "No one talks about it," Meredith explained. "It is the family secret, this pattern of having a chosen one and a scapegoat. I wanted you to know that not everyone thinks you are wrong. What Diana and Thomas did was inexcusable regardless of their intentions." She went on to reveal that my parents had a long history of financial irresponsibility, often living beyond their means and using credit to maintain appearances. "They have remortgaged that house 3 times in the last decade," she told me. "Not just for Amanda, though she is certainly part of it. They have this need to appear more successful than they are to give Amanda everything she wants regardless of cost." That conversation with Aunt Meredith was a turning point for me. For the first time, I understood that the dysfunction in my family went back generations and that I was not the cause of it, merely the latest victim. The next day, I received a formal notification from my credit card company that they had closed their investigation. They had determined conclusively that the charge was fraudulent and that I bore no responsibility for it. They also informed me that based on the evidence, including my father's email, they had referred the case to their legal department for potential further action. A month after reporting the fraud, I received an unexpected call from a number I did not recognize. The caller identified himself as Warren Benson, an attorney representing my parents. "Mr. Wilson, I am reaching out in hopes that we can resolve this unfortunate situation before it escalates." Further, he began his tone professional, but with an undertone of condescension. "Your parents are understandably distressed by the potential legal ramifications of what they view as a simple family misunderstanding." "It was not a misunderstanding," I replied calmly. "They took photos of my credit card without permission and used it to charge $15,000 fraudulently. They admitted to doing so and refused to make it right when confronted." "Family matters can be complicated," the lawyer continued smoothly. "I am sure we can find a resolution that avoids the necessity of formal legal proceedings. Your parents are prepared to sign an agreement, acknowledging the impropriety of their actions and committing to a payment plan to reimburse any fees or penalties you incurred." "And the $15,000, I asked. There was a slight pause. "As I understand it, that charge has already been reversed by your credit card company. So they want me to drop the fraud case without actually taking responsibility for the full amount they attempted to steal," I clarified. "Mr. Wilson, these are your parents we are talking about," the lawyer said, his voice hardening slightly. "Pursuing this matter could result in serious legal consequences for them. Is that really what you want?" I thought about it for a moment. What I wanted was for my parents to respect my boundaries and treat me with the same consideration they have always shown my sister. What I wanted was for them to acknowledge what they did wrong and make a genuine effort to make amends. Instead, they have blamed me, manipulated other family members against me, and now hired a lawyer to try to make this go away without real accountability. "So you are declining our offer?" he asked. "Yes, I am declining. I will not interfere with the credit card company's investigation or any resulting legal action. Your clients committed fraud. They need to face the consequences." After ending the call, I received a text from my cousin Patrick with a video attachment. "Thought you should see this. Family meeting about you yesterday." The video showed my extended family gathered in my parents' living room. My mother sat on the couch looking pale and fragile with my father beside her, his arm protectively around her shoulders. Amanda stood by the fireplace, gesturing dramatically as she addressed the assembled relatives. "Despite everything that is happening, I want everyone to know that I am still going to Europe," she announced. "Mom and Dad got approved for a home equity loan yesterday. They are using it to rebook my tour. I refuse to let Ryan ruin this opportunity for me." The family applauded, with several relatives casting dark glances at the camera and making comments about how this would show Ryan he cannot control us. My Aunt Regina stood up and declared, "This family takes care of its own. If Ryan does not want to be part of that, it is his loss." I closed the video feeling a strange sense of clarity. My family had not learned anything from this experience. They were doubling down, taking out another loan they likely could not afford, all to prove some point to me about their unwavering support for Amanda. I composed a careful email addressed to my parents, copying Amanda and a few key relatives who had been most vocal about the situation. "I have seen the video of your family meeting. I understand now that nothing will change. You are willing to go further into debt rather than acknowledge the wrong you did to me. This is not about the money anymore, if it ever was. This is about respect, boundaries, and honesty, none of which seem to matter to you when it comes to me. Going forward, I will be ceasing all contact with you. Please do not call, email, text, or show up at my home or workplace. Any further communication should go through my attorney, whose information is attached below. I hope someday you will understand the damage you have caused, not just to our relationship but to yourselves and to Amanda, who you have taught that rules, laws, and basic respect do not apply to her. Ryan." Within days of sending that email, I received a certified letter from my parents' lawyer. The letter claimed that my actions had caused my mother severe emotional distress and threatened a lawsuit for damages if I did not immediately contact the credit card company and withdraw my fraud claim. I forwarded the letter to a lawyer friend, Samantha, who had offered to advise me pro bono given the family nature of the dispute. Her response was reassuring. "This is an empty threat designed to scare you. They have no legal standing to sue you for reporting a crime that they actually committed. The evidence, including your father's email with the card image, is overwhelming. My advice is to maintain no contact and let me handle any further legal communications." True to my word, I blocked my parents' phone numbers, email addresses, and social media accounts. I set up filters to automatically archive emails from extended family members who had been hostile. I informed my building's security about the situation and requested that they not allow my parents or sister access to my apartment. The decision to go no contact was both painful and liberating. There was grief for the family I had always hoped we could become, but also relief at no longer subjecting myself to their manipulation and unequal treatment. Surprisingly, the no-contact decision brought unexpected support from relatives I had rarely spoken with. My great-aunt Eleanor, my grandmother's sister, reached out with a kind letter. "Dear Ryan, I have watched from a distance how Diana and Thomas have treated you over the years. It broke my heart, but I stayed silent, thinking it was not my place to interfere. I regret that now. What they did with your credit card was inexcusable, and your response was entirely justified. Please know that not everyone in this family thinks you are wrong. Some of us are simply quieter than others." My childhood friend Jacob, who had known my family for years, reached out after hearing about the situation through mutual acquaintances. "I always saw how differently they treated you, and Amanda," he admitted. "It never seemed right to me, but I did not know what to say. I am sorry I never spoke up." As weeks passed, my focus shifted from the family drama to my own healing. My performance at work improved as the constant stress of managing my parents' expectations and demands faded. "Doctor, Martinez helped me process the grief and guilt that occasionally surfaced, reminding me that setting boundaries was not the same as abandoning family, despite what my parents claimed. Through mutual friends, I heard that my parents were actively spreading their version of events throughout our hometown community. According to them, I had promised to pay for Amanda's trip, then vindictively reported them for fraud when I changed my mind. They painted themselves as victims of their ungrateful son, conveniently omitting the part where they stole my credit card information. Amanda did go to Europe, posting daily photos on social media of her adventures in various European capitals. Mutual friends would occasionally mention her posts, not realizing the pain behind the seemingly happy family story. "Your sister is living her best life in Paris," a college acquaintance commented innocently. "Your parents must be so proud to give her that experience." I focused on building what therapists call a chosen family, deepening relationships with friends who respected my boundaries and valued me for who I was. Marcus and his wife invited me to their family gatherings. My colleague Jasmine introduced me to her hiking group, providing weekend adventures and new friendships. Cousin Ethan and I developed a closer relationship, supporting each other through the complexity of family estrangement. When Thanksgiving came around again, the first holiday season since the rift, I declined invitations from well-meaning friends who wanted to make sure I was not alone. Instead, I booked a cabin in Vermont, spending 4 peaceful days hiking, reading, and reflecting on the year's dramatic changes. It was the first holiday season in my life that was not marked by anxiety, disappointment, and the familiar pain of being the less favored child. The solitude was not lonely, it was healing. 6 months after cutting contact with my parents, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment, watching the sun set over the Boston skyline. The past half year had brought unexpected changes, growth, and a sense of peace I had never thought possible while entangled in my family's toxic dynamic. My career had flourished without the constant emotional drain of family drama. The focus and energy I previously spent managing my parents' expectations and dealing with their favoritism could now be channeled into my work and personal growth. My team successfully launched a major project that earned recognition throughout the company, leading to another promotion and increased responsibilities that I genuinely enjoyed. The relationships in my life had transformed as well. Without the underlying current of family-related stress and insecurity, I found myself more present and authentic with friends. People often commented on the change, noting that I seemed lighter or more confident. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that I had been carrying the weight of trying to earn conditional love for so long that I had not realized how heavy the burden was until I set it down. Then came an unexpected email from an address I did not recognize. The subject line read simply, "It is Amanda. Please read." Against my better judgment, I opened it. "Ryan, I am writing from a new email because I figured you probably blocked my old one. I have been in Europe for 3 months now, and I have had a lot of time to think about everything that happened. I owe you an apology. Being away from mom and dad, experiencing the world on my own for the first time, has opened my eyes to how messed up our family dynamic really is. I always knew they favored me, but I never understood what that meant for you until I started making friends from normal families here. What mom and dad did with your credit card was wrong. I knew it was wrong when it happened, but I was so used to them moving mountains to give me what I wanted that I convinced myself it was somehow okay. It was not okay. It was theft, and I was complicit in it. I also want to apologize for how I spoke to you at your apartment. Everything I said was unfair. You were right to report the fraud and stand up for yourself. I do not expect forgiveness, and I understand if you never want to speak to me again. I just wanted you to know that I see things clearly now, and I am sorry for my part in hurting you. Amanda." I read the email several times, unsure how to feel or respond. Part of me was skeptical, wondering if this was another manipulation tactic orchestrated by my parents. But something in the tone felt genuine, different from the entitled Amanda I had known my whole life. After discussing it with Dr. Martinez, I decided to respond with caution. "Amanda, thank you for your email. I appreciate your apology and the self-reflection it represents. This has been a difficult time, and I am still processing everything that happened. I hope your travels are giving you the perspective and independence you need. Take care, Ryan." Her reply came quickly. "Thank you for responding. I understand your caution. For what it is worth, Mom and Dad do not know I am contacting you. I am actually not speaking to them much right now. After seeing how other families work, I realized how unhealthy our dynamic is. I am planning to get my own apartment when I return instead of moving back home. If you ever feel ready to talk more, I would like that, but I respect whatever boundaries you need." Over the next few weeks, Amanda and I exchanged occasional emails. Her tone was different than it had ever been before, more thoughtful, less entitled. She shared stories about her travels that focused on what she was learning about herself, rather than the material experiences. She asked questions about my life, and actually seemed interested in the answers. For the first time in our lives, we were having conversations as equals, rather than as the golden child and the scapegoat. As my 29th birthday approached, I received an email notification that someone had attempted to contact me through my website's contact form, my parents trying to bypass my email filters. The message was brief. "It is your birthday next week. We would like to see you. Please call home." I did not respond. Instead, I maintained my boundaries, spending my birthday weekend on a camping trip with friends who truly celebrated me. The distance from my parents allowed me to recognize that their attempts at contact were not about genuine reconciliation, but about regaining control. Through my Aunt Meredith, I learned that my parents were facing significant financial consequences from their actions. The credit card company had pursued the fraud case, resulting in financial penalties and a settlement agreement that strained their already precarious finances. They were now facing the possibility of foreclosure on their home due to the multiple mortgages and home equity loans they had taken out over the years. While I took no pleasure in their financial troubles, I recognized that they were experiencing the natural consequences of their own choices. For perhaps the first time in their lives, they could not manipulate or charm their way out of the situation they had created. Amanda returned from Europe in July, and true to her word, she did not move back into our parents' home. Instead, she rented a small studio apartment and found a job as an administrative assistant at a local business, her first full-time position since college. We met for coffee, an awkward but ultimately productive meeting where we began the slow process of establishing a new kind of sibling relationship. "I never understood what it was like for you growing up," she admitted during our second meeting. "I was so caught up in being the favorite that I never questioned why Mom and Dad treated us so differently. I am sorry I participated in that dynamic." Rather than offering financial help, which would have perpetuated old patterns, I offered to help Amanda develop financial literacy skills. We met weekly to go over budgeting basics, credit management, and saving strategies, all things our parents had never taught either of us. It was strange to be the older brother in a real sense for the first time, but also rewarding to see Amanda taking responsibility for her life. My personal growth continued as well. I began dating Sophia, a graphic designer I met through a mutual friend. Unlike previous relationships where I had been drawn to people who recreated the conditional love dynamic of my childhood, this relationship was based on mutual respect and healthy boundaries. When I eventually shared my family story with Sophia, her response was validating rather than doubtful. "What your parents did was wrong on every level," she stated simply. "You deserved better, and I am proud of you for standing up for yourself." Meeting Sophia's family was a revelation. Their interactions were respectful, with disagreements handled through discussion rather than manipulation. Her parents treated both Sophia and her brother with equal affection and support, something I had never witnessed in my own family. Being welcomed into their home showed me what healthy family dynamics could look like. As I approached the 1-year mark of going no contact with my parents, I reflected on everything that had changed. The financial violation that had seemed so devastating at the time had ultimately been the catalyst for profound positive change in my life. By standing firm in my boundaries, I had broken free from a lifelong pattern of being devalued and exploited by the people who should have protected me. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that family relationships should be based on mutual respect, not obligation or blood ties alone. Family should add to your life, not diminish it, she often reminded me. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to step away from relationships that consistently harm you, even when those relationships are with parents. I still experienced moments of doubt and grief, particularly around holidays or family-oriented events. But those moments became less frequent and less intense as I built a life filled with people who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide or how I made them look. The most important lesson I learned through this painful experience was that self-respect is not selfish. Setting boundaries is not cruel. And sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from people who cannot or will not treat you with basic dignity and respect, even when those people are family. Today I am building a life based on authentic connections rather than obligation or guilt. I am learning what it means to be valued for who I am, not what I can provide. And I am discovering that family can be chosen built on foundations of mutual respect and genuine care, rather than simply shared DNA. If you have ever found yourself in a situation where family members violate your boundaries or treat you as less worthy than others, know that you have every right to protect yourself. Standing up for yourself might be painted as selfish or ungrateful by those who benefit from your sacrifice, but that does not make it wrong. In fact, it might be the most important step toward building the life you deserve. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision to protect yourself from family members who crossed your boundaries? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else find the courage to stand up for themselves. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories about setting boundaries and building healthier relationships. Thank you for listening. And remember, you deserve to be treated with respect, no matter who is on the other side of the equation.